Nobody tells you the exact moment the game changes. There's no announcement, no email, no tap on the shoulder. You just start seeing the world differently. The people around you are playing the same game they've always played. Earn, spend, repeat, hope something is left by Friday, and somewhere in the middle of that routine, you stop, you open the app. You look at the number, really look at it, and you realize for the first time that you've been measuring the wrong thing. This is the story of 6 moves. 6 quiet shifts that most people never make, not flashy moves, not lucky ones, just the ones nobody talks about because they don't look impressive until they've already changed everything. Move 1. Stop watching your income, start watching your net worth. You've been paid every 2 weeks for 3 years. Every 2 weeks the number hits your account, and every 2 weeks you feel fine. Even good until the 28th. Your income is not your wealth. It never was. Income is the water flowing in. Net worth is what stays in the bucket after every hole drains it. You work at a mid-sized design agency. You make $61,000 a year. Your coworker Marcus drives a leased Range Rover and always has the newest phone. He talks about money the way people talk about the weather, casually, constantly, incorrectly. Marcus earns $12,000 more than you. His net worth is negative $43,000. You don't know this yet, neither does he. That same evening, you do something Marcus has never done. You add it all up. Everything you own, everything you owe. What you own, a car worth $9,000. A 401k with $1,800 in it. A savings account with $260. What you owe, a car loan at 6.9%, a student loan. A credit card balance you haven't opened in 6 weeks. The number lands differently than you expected, negative $17,520. But here's what that number actually is. It's not a verdict, it's a starting line, and the single most powerful thing you can do right now is know where you are standing. Move 2. Stop letting interest decide your future before you do. You have a credit card balance of $5,980. The interest rate is 24.99%. You've been paying the minimum for 11 months of payments, and the balance has barely moved. The interest is eating almost every dollar you send. Your neighbor downstairs, Priya, is a nurse. She once mentioned her credit card debt at $22,000. She's had it for 4 years. She says she just pays what she can and doesn't stress about it. That night, you do the math she hasn't done. At minimum payments, Priya's $22,000 debt will take 19 years to clear. She'll pay back more than $46,000 in total, more than double what she borrowed. The bank doesn't need 19 years of your life. It just needs you to never do this math. You look at your own balance, $5,980. You open a second tab. You run your own numbers. Minimum payments, 8 years, $4,200 in interest, $340 a month, paid off in 20 months. Total interest, under $900. The difference between those two numbers is not luck. It's one decision made on a Tuesday night in a kitchen that nobody else will ever know about. You set the autopay, $340, starting next Friday. You close the laptop, not with relief, with resolve. That autopay is the most aggressive thing you've done with money in 3 years, and nobody will ever see it. Move 3. Build the wall before the water rises. You are 4 weeks into the 340 autopay when your laptop dies. Not slowly dying, fully, completely, without warning. The motherboard, according to the repair shop off 5th Avenue, has failed. The repair cost $680, or a new refurbished machine for $850. You have $260 in savings. The rest goes on the card. The same card you've been attacking for 4 weeks. Walking out of that shop, you finally understand something every financial article has told you, but that you never felt in your chest until this exact moment. An emergency fund isn't a savings goal. It's the wall standing between a bad day and a bad year, and yours wasn't built yet. Your monthly expenses, rent, groceries, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments. It all lands somewhere around $1,950 a month. 6 months of that is $11,700, a number that feels impossible from where you're standing. But you are not building it all tonight. You're building the first brick, $75, moved to a separate high-yield savings account the same night you got home from the repair shop. It's not the wall, but it's the first brick, and on a night where you added $600 to a card you were trying to pay off, it's the most important thing you do. You split the autopay system, $340 to the card, $75 to the emergency fund. Every Friday, without thinking, without deciding again. The wall doesn't build itself in one night. But it starts the night you stop waiting to feel ready. Move 4. Stop letting one person decide what your time is worth. Your annual review arrives in March. Your manager, a calm, apologetic man named Derek, slides a folder across the conference table. 3%, same as last year, same as the year before. 61,000 becomes 62,830. After taxes, the difference is about $42 a month. $42 a month, less than your phone bill. You drive home and think about something a freelance designer named Simone mentioned once in a comment thread you almost scrolled past. She'd written the skill doesn't change depending on who you sell it to. Your employer just has a budget, the market doesn't. You spend 6 years building skills in brand identity and digital illustration. You can do in 2 hours what takes most clients 2 weeks to explain to someone who doesn't understand design. That skill doesn't know what Derek decided your salary is. That Thursday evening, you set up a profile on a design freelance platform, 3 portfolio samples, a short bio. A rate of $65 an hour, which feels too high until you look at what others are charging. 5 days later, a message, a small e-commerce brand in Denver. They need a full brand identity package, logo, color system, typography guide. Budget, $1,800. Timeline, 2 weeks. $1,800 for work you could do in your evenings. Work you already know how to do, work that Derek's budget can't touch. You accept the project. You complete it in 11 evenings, 90 minutes after dinner, at the same desk where you've been watching the deck go down. The payment hits the following Thursday, $1,800. Directly into your checking account, no Derek involved. You split it immediately. $600 accelerated to the card, $400 added to the emergency fund. $800 set aside for a better monitor and a backup fund for the next project. The raise Derek gave you was $42 a month. The first project that had nothing to do with Derek was $1,800 in 11 evenings. That's the ceiling, and you've just found the door. Move 5. Understand the difference between a risk you can survive and one you can't, then make the right one. 6 months after the Denver project, you have completed 4 more freelance contracts. Your evenings are becoming a business. Then a message arrives that doesn't look like any of the others. A boutique branding studio, 2 founders. Building a platform that helps small businesses build brand systems without needing a full agency. They want a lead designer and creative partner, not a contractor, a co-founder. The offer, $48,000 a year, $13,000 less than your current salary, plus 4% equity, vesting over 4 years. You bring it to the only person whose financial opinion you've started to trust, yourself. You write out the downside first, always the downside first, $13,000 a year less. For 4 years, in the worst case where nothing ever vests and the company fails, that's $52,000 of lost salary, a number you can survive, not comfortable, but survivable. Now the upside. The point isn't that the company will reach 20 million, most don't. The point is that 4% of something real is uncapped in a way that 3% of 61,000 never will be. You think about Derek, about the folder he slid across the table. About the $42 a month that was supposed to feel like progress. You also think about your emergency fund, now sitting at $4,200, not $11,700 yet. But enough of a wall to make the next 18 months survivable if the freelance income holds. You named the downside. You have a wall. You understand the upside. The only thing left is to make the decision. You send the acceptance email at 10:47 p.m. on a Wednesday. You send Derek's resignation the next morning, professionally, gratefully. Without burning anything, walking out of the office for the last time, 2 weeks later, you don't feel like a hero. You feel like someone who finally chose the right risk after spending years choosing none at all. The equity vests over 4 years. Nothing changes tomorrow. But the version of you standing on the sidewalk is different from the one who sat in the break room watching the clock. Move 6, build the fortress, then make sure someone knows where the door is. 3 months into Holloway and Crane, you're on a video call with Jordan when she mentions, almost in passing, that her business partner had a health scare last year. Nothing fatal. But the 6 weeks of bills, the income gap, the business decisions that had to wait, it nearly ended what they'd spent 3 years building. That night, you do the thing you've been meaning to do for 2 years. You look up term life insurance quotes. The standard recommendation, 10 to 12 times your annual income in coverage. At 60,000, that puts you somewhere between 600,000 and $720,000. A 20-year term policy, healthy non-smoker in your late 30s, some providers quote it at under $30 a month, less than a streaming subscription, less than 2 tanks of gas. You think about your mother, she's 61, still working part-time, she has never asked you for anything. But you know quietly, without either of you saying it, that she is counting on things continuing the way they are. $27.40 a month is the cost of making sure a bad day doesn't become the worst chapter of her life. You apply, you're approved in 9 minutes, then you do the other thing. The one nobody talks about because it sounds like something old people do. You draft a basic will, one afternoon, online, under $200. You name a beneficiary for the 401k. You designate who makes decisions if you can't. You don't have a lake house. You don't have a portfolio worth talking about at dinner parties. But you have a 401k, a growing emergency fund, equity vesting quietly in the background, and now, someone who knows what happens to all of it if the worst comes. That box, simple, fireproof on a shelf in your apartment, is the least glamorous thing you own. It is also quietly one of the most important. 6 moves, none of them flashy, none of them fast. Marcus still leases the Range Rover. Priya still makes the minimum payment, and you don't say anything to either of them, because this was never about them. It was never about being right. It was about building something real in the only place that matters, quietly, in the numbers nobody sees but you. The equity hasn't vested. The emergency fund isn't finished. The credit card is almost gone, 3 more months, and the business is early, messy, and harder than it looked from the outside. None of that is the point. The point is that you are no longer building toward a payday. You are building toward a position, the kind where money starts working for you instead of the other way around. And tonight, walking past the kitchen table where the laptop sits closed, the numbers inside it quieter and better than they were 18 months ago, you catch yourself doing something you didn't expect. Nothing, you're doing nothing, and for the first time, the silence feels like it's on your side. If this helped you think differently about even one number in your life, that's where it starts.